But hey, we were talking about having some sort of hydration concoction other than water.
Looks similar to water.
Our friends at Tito's, I'm sure, would be happy to contribute to our setup. Being that it is a Friday morning, to your point, I think it's fair that if we had a Bloody Mary bar, it'd be okay.
Yeah, I think so. I don't see why not.
All the fixings. You could have bacon and celery and pickles.
You could have like a whole meal on a stick.
Yeah.
Like
So I heard protein, vegetables.
See?
What else?
We could get the whole
You
pyramid
mentioned
in there.
antioxidants.
Antioxidants. Yeah, there's probably some in there somewhere, right? Yeah.
I mean,
I don't see why not.
Comment, guys, if you would, on this episode. Should we include something like that, or is that not? You're not down.
Hold on, let me get my computer out and comment real quick so I can
That's fair.
make sure we get it going.
All right. Well, we'll see. I'm sure Tito's is up for that.
Would you'd want to come back?
oh yeah,
obviously, for
absolutely.
that
I'm going to
episode.
say
Our inaugural
I'm at the wrong
Bloody Mary
one
bar.
right
Yeah.
now. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do that. Well, we'll do that right after, either before or after the pending softball
There you go.
rematch
Okay,
between
we could
Tri-West
talk
and
about
Chautauqua.
that. That'd be
We'll do
good. I like that.
That'd
I
be
like
good.
that.
Yeah. We'll follow up.
Yeah, we're here. We're here for the people. All right, kids, you get rolling?
Ready?
Ready.
Okay. Is this thing on? Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Summits Podcast. Thank all of you for joining us wherever you guys get your podcasts, or if you're joining us on the Heroes Foundation YouTube channel. Thank you for tuning in. If you're on there, by the way, and you hadn't hit that subscribe button, please do so. It will not buy you a Bloody Mary, but we'll be thinking about you and we'll toast to you. Also, while you're at it, hit that little notification bell icon so you can be updated or let known when new episodes like this one drop. All right. We call him the master minion behind the scenes, but we have a special guest, Mr. Josh Gordon, with us today. Josh, welcome to Summits Podcast.
Thank you guys for having me very much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Why don't you give our listeners and viewers a little background history on yourself?
Sure, absolutely. My name is Josh Gordon. I'm a lifelong resident of Indiana, Central Indiana. Grew up in Brownsburg. Parents were high school sweethearts. Also grew up in Brownsburg. So I've been around the area for a long, long time, and went to school at IU, despite the fact that my mom was the associate dean of the School of Consumer and Family Sciences at Purdue. So it was a big no-no for me to go to
interesting.
IU.
Yeah.
Made very
We're gonna touch on
interesting
that.
conversations. Yeah, we should talk about that. I've got good stories about that. I'm currently employed at Salesforce. I've been with Salesforce for now coming up on 9 years and working the operations side of things. And it's a great company to be a part of. They take really good care of us as employees, and we do really meaningful work. But I think we talked about this a little bit. The one thing that's fantastic about Salesforce is they've implemented this 1-1-1 model where it is 1% of the product goes to nonprofit organizations for free. 1% of the profit gets donated back to different organizations, and then 1% of our time. So they encourage all of our employees to volunteer. They call it VTO, in fact, instead of PTO. So obviously, it's volunteer time off, and they encourage us to use 56 hours a year. So, it's fantastic to get out, give back to the community, and globally, we are producing a lot of volunteer time and making a real impact. And there's lots of great stories throughout the company where they're able to share what they're doing and things like that. So, but that's what's allowed me to be a part of a Heroes Foundation and be able to donate some time back to you guys. And it's been absolutely amazing to be a part of.
So the third one, the 1% of time, which is going to VTO, which I like.
Yeah.
I like the first two letters in that in particular. I don't know why. But
Resonates with you.
56 hours a year per employee.
Correct.
That adds up. I mean, it's a very cool concept. So congrats to Salesforce on putting that together. I think it's very cool.
How many total employees are there?
Oh gosh,
thousands. I mean,
80,000, I think,
80,000.
globally. Yeah, and there's goals, and everybody's got, as part of their yearly goals, is to hit at least 56. But we have a lot of people that are rock stars, and they'll get over 100 hours of volunteer time. So I mean, we're producing a lot of that.
So let me ask you this: when you said, but there's some who are rock stars and get 100 hours, whatever. Do you find that there's maybe a competitive component to it?
Oh, absolutely. So there is the way that they used to do this. The way that they used to do this is if you hit your goals of 56 hours, they would give you $1,000 grant to donate to any charity of your choice, and you could split it out and do 2 get 500, 10 get 100, all so on and so on. But now I think they realized that as the company was growing, that bill became pretty high annually, right? And so now what they do is they take the top 10 volunteer rock stars that have the highest amount of volunteer time, and then each one of those individuals gets $10,000. Okay. So it's very competitive because you're talking about 80,000 people, and if you don't start from day one, you're already behind the 8 ball. And so you kind of have to really build it into your plan to say, here's what I want to do. Now, I had a friend of mine in Brownsburg that was a Boy Scout leader and was really heavily involved in some things that his kids were doing. And he was in the top 10 a couple of years ago, and it allowed them to build a couple of different shelters for the Boy Scout Club and things like that. But he was part of that group that won the 10,000, which was really, really cool.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, congrats. This is now going to be the longest podcast episode ever recorded. We're going to go for 100 hours. That's right. Buckle up, folks.
Podcast-a-thon starting now.
It's going to be a while. Well, that's very cool.
We're really going to need those bloodies.
Let's move back a little bit. So, grew up in Brownsburg. You mentioned that you're friends with Kelly and Zach Canada, who are longtime board members, supporters of the Heroes Foundation, both cancer survivors. But let's talk. You mentioned something. So you mentioned you went to IU, but your mom was employed by Purdue.
Yeah.
So how did that go?
Well, it was a horrible conversation, right? And because essentially tuition would have been free. So that was a big no-no. And then obviously growing up in a Purdue house, to go to IU, to the school down south, was obviously that was worse than the money, right? And I remember it was my sophomore year down there, and my vehicle down there, my plates had expired, and it was time to get new plates. Yeah. My dad calls me, says, "Hey, we took care of it. They're in the mail on the way down." I get them. I open them up. They are Purdue plates. So, and at the time, I worked for the athletic department when I was down there, so for the ticket office, and so. IU fans are crazy, so I had to be very strategic, going to games early at Assembly Hall, backing into places where they couldn't see my license plate, or covering it with snow, things like that. You get very creative on ways to hide that.
If I could just cover the P, but not like the letters and numbers,
probably
would.
It probably would have worked. It probably would have worked. Yeah.
Well, well played by your parents.
I know it was. It was very good. It was very good. Yes.
And then we were talking earlier about your affiliation with Tri-West High School.
Yeah.
And then you talk about how you did some of the athletic announcing there.
Yeah.
How'd you get into that?
It's a lot of fun. So with Salesforce, I've had the opportunity to lead a lot of the all hands calls that we have company-wide and host those. And so we bring in different guests. Colin Powell was a board member of ours, and he was somebody that I got to do a full 30-minute interview with, which was really, really cool and kind of special. One of my highlights at Salesforce so far. And so Tri-West got a new athletic director a couple of years ago, and he put out a post that my wife told me about and said, "Hey, they're looking for a new announcer for football." Was the start, and you should go try out. And so I did. Reagan, my stepdaughter, was very apprehensive at first about me being a part of that, and now I also announce girls basketball as well. Okay. And she's a basketball player on the varsity team, and there's nothing better. Once she heard me do football, she was like, "Okay, I can see how this is going to work," and she was okay with it. But there's nothing better than being able to cheer for her instead of sitting in the stands. I got a microphone, and everybody gets to hear me cheer for her as she's hitting threes and things like that. So it's pretty awesome to be a part of.
That could be also difficult because it's like, I can remember this microphone's right in front of me. So if let's say she doesn't do something according to plan, I got to make sure I don't let something slip out.
It's hard. Yeah. It's hard because I'm vocal, and you get to know these referees because they come over before the game, they'll introduce themselves, and it's the same ones over and over because there's a referee shortage because of people like I used to be, right, yelling and screaming at them from the stands. And so they come over, and you start to get to know them, and they're just normal people, and they're just doing a job, and they make a bad call. I mean, this just happened last week. It's a bad call, and on Reagan, and I don't agree with it, and I so badly want to say something, or I'm shaking my head, and you've got to stop that and kind of remove yourself as much as possible. So you can still be a fan, but you can't be the negative fan with the microphone in front of you, for sure. You have to be careful.
That would probably be a great conversation to have with Don Fisher, who has done IU games for decades.
Yes.
Especially on the football side, how to control the emotional side of you as a fan from letting it get through the microphone.
Slip through. I know it is, and he does a really good job of it. Now, if there's a really bad call, I've heard him. He gets pretty frustrated, but rightfully so. I mean, he's a longtime IU diehard, so I get it. Yeah,
I'm sure the mute button's nearby.
Right there, right. Like somebody else is probably on the mute button for him. Yeah.
So the Salesforce's 111 program, again, phenomenal program, and we appreciate you allocating some of your hours to us. Let's talk about that a little bit, if you would. Most recently, you were on one of the Lego Gives as part of TeamJoey.
Yeah.
How did you get into that? And if you would share your experience from a volunteer standpoint.
Yeah, absolutely. Kelly had reached out. It was over the summer, and our oldest is at Butler. He's a sophomore at Butler this year, so he was wrapping up his summer, and we're starting to get into all of the senior things for Reagan this year, which is going way too fast. And she reached out to ask if we would want to come and be a part of it, serving up pizza at Riley in that amazing space that's been developed for the families and the kids to go and just be kids again. And she also said she needed somebody to dress up as Dr. Donald Duck. And I of course I'm all for that. I worked for USA Gymnastics as an intern when I was in college, and we have a mascot. Flip the monkey was the mascot of USA Gymnastics, and during an event in Syracuse, the guy who wears that costume, who is a gymnast and actually does gymnastics with that costume on, his flight was delayed. So I'm the intern, right? Hey, put this stinky, sweaty costume on and do the best you can. And so, and Kelly knows me well enough since I grew up with her that I would be absolutely say yes to that. So I did, and it was phenomenal to hear the stories, especially afterwards that Kelly shared. That some of the kids that had come out, they hadn't smiled in days or weeks, and you get an opportunity to take pictures with them, and the hugs, all of those things, and the smiles. It's just it's very heartwarming to be a part of impactful, meaningful work like that, and to see the difference that it makes. And you and I talked about this. The Salesforce 111 thing. Giving back 1% of the profit is great, but it doesn't always have to be financial giving back. It can be your time, and it can be in smiles and in hugs and things like that. And there's a flood of emotions, I think, that came with it. Reagan had a close friend when she was younger that battled leukemia and passed away. And we hadn't been back to Riley Hospital since that time, since we had gone to see her. And so as we were pulling into the parking lot and walking into the hospital, it was overwhelming with emotion, because it all brought back all of those memories for us and for my wife and for Reagan. But it was great to be there and see the smiles and the joy that we were able to bring to the kids and the families.
Yeah. One example that really stands out to me, and I think I've mentioned this in other episodes, where you mentioned you were Dr. Donald Duck, but we've also had a Minion character.
Yeah.
And I
did that one as well. I was Minion as well.
Then it might have been you. I don't know. But there was a time where whoever the Minion character was with us walks into a room, and there's a child or patient there who had, I think, a Minion t-shirt on and those goggles, the Minion goggles. And, like any said, kid was not, having the greatest of days. But all of a sudden that Minion walks in the room and switch was flipped.
Yeah.
Eyes bugged out. There's a photo of the Minion character and this child with their goggles on, and it's like that picture, just talk about a picture speaks 1,000 words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, if you don't have a good feeling after seeing that,
I know,
then you're the Grinch.
It's pretty amazing. And I think, as Donald Duck, right, we stayed in one space, and then when I came with the Minions, we went room to room. And I think for me it was, you're able to bring, even for the briefest of moment, just a little bit of normal back into the families and the kids' lives.
Yeah.
And that's where the smiles come from, and the happiness comes from. And you know, it's as much as I wish I could be an oncologist or a research scientist, it wasn't in the cards for me.
Right.
But I think there's a lot to be said about joy and happiness and being healing for those kids. And to be a part of that, it is an emotional roller coaster, because you in the moment you realize how great this is for the kids and the families, and then you leave and you sit in the car, and we cry sitting in the car, because you realize this is so terribly difficult for everything, and it really puts things in perspective for your life. It's
Right.
like, gosh, some of the stuff that you stress and worry about just doesn't really matter, you know. So it's been incredibly impactful for us, and for me personally, and for the kids to be able to see it, and to be part of knowing that giving back and volunteering is a great thing to build into the fabric of who you are as you get older, especially as they are getting into adulthood. We want them to carry that forward and be that way as they go out into the world.
Yeah, well said. Volunteering for us obviously is a huge deal, just because we have a lot of events like that, or fundraising events that require volunteers as well. I don't want to say it costs nothing, but essentially it costs nothing. I mean, but the impact it brings. I mean, we can't do a lot of this stuff without volunteers,
right?
And so I don't underestimate the value of that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether it's 1 hour or 56 hours or 100 hours like this podcast, like it helps. It all adds up.
Yeah, it really does. And it's great with the events that I've been a part of, because there's a photographer there, right? And they're taking pictures not only for the families, but to document for us, because I take that back and I share it with my colleagues at Salesforce. Well, it's made its way up the chain, and I shared this with Kelly. I'm not sure she shared it with you, but I got nominated for a Volunteer Achievement Award that Salesforce gives out every year, and it comes with a $20,000 grant. So to come back to HeroesFoundation, which I'm super excited about. I got notification earlier this week that I'm a finalist in that.
That's
but
cool.
We had to fill out a lot of information. Kelly had to write a testimonial, which was fantastic, with some pictures and some things like
Is
that.
there anything that us or all our millions and millions of viewers and listeners can do to aid in that?
I wish it would come down to like a voting thing, because that would be phenomenal to be able to tweet at Mark. Yeah, let Benioff know that I should be the one winning it. Yes, it is. I'm not sure who the group is that reviews everything, and it's. I'm sure it's going to be highly competitive, because, like I said, there's a lot of people that are doing some amazing volunteer work. But it was just an honor to be nominated for it and be a part of it. So, knock on wood, hopefully there's a chance, and we'll find out.
But are they putting on a smelly, hot character costume for hours?
That's true. I don't think I highlighted that part quite enough.
Yeah, think of the sacrifice.
Yes, it is. It is. They are hot. They are.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
and a couple of them have built-in fans, which, technically speaking, yes, they do.
Yes.
They don't do a whole lot.
They go around your neck, and having this beard, the fan doesn't reach my face, and it just cools my beard off. It doesn't do any good for my face.
It's like the equator. It just doesn't know what's going on.
That's right. That's right.
Well, Josh, what is your cancer story?
We actually, I've got family members that have been impacted by cancer.
Yeah.
My uncle had skin cancer when I was very, very young. And skin cancer is not one that you think about often enough as being life-threatening, or that can lead to things like this.
Sure.
And, it was tough on all of us. It was tough on my dad, and it was tough on my cousin, his son. And it's something that he still struggles with, because, we were in high school when it happened, and it's very, very difficult. And it just opens your eyes to everybody can be impacted by this. And I think everybody has a story, or multiple stories of people. So I've got coworkers that are currently battling breast cancer, and it's tough. It's very, very tough to hear what they're going through and try to be there for them and support them in whatever way possible. And sometimes it is sharing the photos. I shared the photos with her to let her know what I was doing, and she said that made my day. And it's the little things like that where you can be there and be supportive to them. And, I told the story about Reagan's friend as a child that passed away from leukemia. She was actually the daughter of a really close friend of mine from high school as well. Okay. And, it's going to a funeral like that for somebody that's 7 years old is not something anybody should ever have to do. So it's very, very, it's very tough. And it makes it easy when, if you do volunteer and you agree to volunteer to do something, whatever it might be, and you wake up that morning and you think, I've got a headache and I'm tired and I don't really want to do this today. And it's, you think about those kinds of people in your life and you say, you know what, I can suck it up today and I can do this because it's going to make a difference.
I'm blessed to still be here to have the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, that's a good point. If you go to a funeral like that, you're filled with emotion. Some people, maybe I'm speaking for myself, tend to get a little ticked off because why do I get to live 51 years and they only got 7?
Yeah.
That's BS. All right. Well, I could sit here and just be upset and mad. That's not really going to do anything. Or I could turn that emotion to action, like you're doing, and say, okay, you know what? I identify with this organization. I like what they're doing. I give an hour here, an hour there. Like, why not? Why shouldn't I?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that, and if more people did that, I think that, we wouldn't be so angry about those things when those things happen in society. Like you said, just turning that emotion into action. I mean, I love the way you say that. That is exactly what we need to do more of, because as upset as we want to be, there are still so many other people that are dealing with the exact same thing and going through it. So let's go make a difference for them. Yeah.
There is a TED Talk, and it's over 10 years old now, 10 to 12 years old now. But I've watched it multiple times. I send the link out to multiple people. And this guy's talking about, he used to head up a couple of nonprofit organizations that were event-based. And anyway, in one of the graphics that he talks about, it says something to the effect, and I'm not going to get this 100% right, but talks about like if we just increased giving just like 1%, or it was either 1% or if everyone just gave $1 more.
Yeah.
And of course, it's the whole numbers game. But he broke that down and showed like, based on the different populations or what have you, what that would do to it was astronomical. That one incremental move was unbelievable. But it wasn't just on the financial side; it was also hours, because the events that he used to put on, like massive like runs and walks, and which requires a whole bunch of volunteers. Talked about the time component too. If everyone just everyone just volunteered 1 hour or one more hour, the impact would be unbelievable.
Huge.
And I think people think that, I can't make a difference. I'm just one person. I can't make a difference. You hear that all the time, right? But it's collectively, if everybody just said, I'm going to try just to do a little bit better, or be 1% better, or do just a little bit more today than I did yesterday to help this organization out, the collective addition that can make is it's hard. It would be hard to measure at that point, because then I think it just gets exponential and begins to snowball. And I wish more people would think that way.
Yeah, likewise. So I guess tell us something about yourself that the average person wouldn't know.
Oh gosh,
I know that's a loaded question.
He's a huge Savannah Bananas fan.
I am a big, and we didn't get to go this past year, so I'm excited that they're coming back. I actually trying to talk to my wife. I'm a big Red Sox fan, and so they're going to be in Boston at Fenway on like June 8th, I think, or something next year.
Do you have a ticket yet?
I no, but I got to try to talk to the boss about making that happen.
You can tell the boss that checks off 2 boxes.
Oh, I know.
Go to Fenway. And he gets
so that's the thing is we took a road trip out east a few years ago with the kids. So we went into Niagara, spent a couple days there, drove down to New York and stopped in Scranton, Pennsylvania, because we're a big office household, and so we stopped in Scranton to do a little sightseeing. But we went to New York, spent a few nights in New York, and then took the train up to Boston for my birthday. And my birthday we went to Fenway and had probably better seats than we needed to, and spent more money on them than we needed to. But it was life-changing, because it was a walk-off win. I mean, it was everything that you would want to have. So that argument I wish could work, but I think that's what she'd fall back on that for sure.
I have to ask you this question. I'm not a huge baseball guy, but typically if you grew up in the greater Indianapolis area, and you like baseball, you're either going to be a Reds fan, a Cardinals fan, or either a White Sox or Cubs fan.
Yep.
And
so the Red Sox,
Red Sox come
so the
from?
Red Sox comes from. So my dad was a big. My dad went to Indiana State University.
Okay.
Big Larry Bird fan.
Yeah.
So then that transitioned into a Boston Celtics fan,
Gotcha.
and then he
Okay.
just kind of became a Boston fan. So I remember this ties very well into this whole Lego theme we talk about. TeamJoey is. I used to be in the loft playing Legos, spread out everywhere, and they are not. Today, the Legos today are not what they were when we were kids.
100%.
But I'd be up in the loft playing Legos, and I'd hear my dad screaming at the TV downstairs, watching TV. And so I finally got interested to see what's he yelling at. So, I became a Celtics fan, but more so became a Red Sox fan at that point. Painfully enough, I picked the wrong. I should have been more of a Celtics fan. More championships there, but hey, the last 10, 12 years have been enjoyable to watch as a Red Sox fan.
Well, so I'm glad you said that because now it resonates a little bit when this dates me. When I was growing up as a kid, before the Colts had moved to town, we didn't have. There was no NFL team here.
Yeah.
This is the late 70s kids. And the two main organizations at that time were the Dallas Cowboys and the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
Well, the kid across the street that I was buddies with was a big Cowboys fan. I'm like, well, I can't like the Cowboys. He's a Cowboys fan. So I went with the Steelers.
There you go.
And just for the heck of it. So I had like the Steelers code or whatever I got for my birthday. And then just randomly started watching the Pittsburgh Pirates. We also didn't have Major League Baseball here, but he had other affiliations. He had the Indians were certainly here.
Yeah.
But somehow kind of got attracted to the Pittsburgh Pirates. And so I had a Pittsburgh Pirates hats, and people was like, what's up with that? Like, same story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Are you still a Pirates fan?
I don't really follow. I don't have anything against them,
no.
but I just don't really follow. I don't follow them.
No baseball.
Don't really follow it. I'll go to a baseball game. Like, you want to go to a Pirates game? You want to go to a Red Sox game? I'm there.
Yeah.
Hot dog, beer, let's go.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I won't watch it. This sounds bad. I'll watch golf on TV before I'll watch baseball.
On TV or in person?
Just on TV.
Just on TV.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, I would agree with that. Golf's a good napping inducing show to watch.
Right.
Right?
No, it's very intensive. We're never napping or watching golf for 4 hours.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, never napping. Can't air all the secrets.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. No, you go down to the basement, lights are off, golf's on, and then we're good.
Yeah.
But it's fine.
Catch up with the leaders as they're rounding
Right.
16,
Yeah, that's right.
17.
I mean, it's
right?
kind of like
If
watching
it's a major, it's different.
Or
Yeah,
if you watch
sure.
a race on TV, you just get the first lap and the last lap.
Yeah.
You watch the first hole, the 18.
Yeah.
You're good.
Yeah.
With that.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to think of something about me that most people would know. Oh, here's a good one. So, first job out of college was with Young and Larimore Advertising here in Indianapolis, and I worked on the Steak and Shake account. And so the coolest thing, that was when they were really good, Bean Crock, and so some of those commercials were really creative, very different than what you saw on most television commercials at the time. And they were doing a big shoot. They were filming 3 or 4 different commercials at one time at a location, and I was low man on the totem pole, right? Assistant account manager, which basically was just a step above an intern. And so you have to be there to run and do all the things. And they needed background people to be sitting in the booths. So if you can find old footage of Steak and Shake commercials from like 99, 2000,
Right.
I'm somewhere in the background of those commercials.
Are you?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sure they don't air anymore, but hey, YouTube, you could probably find them.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, YouTubers, check those out. We'll put a link in the comments. Can you find Josh in here?
That's right.
Yeah. I'll
There's
do
no
some
beard.
sleuthing.
Free beard.
It's a much more baby-faced look. Yes. A lot of pounds ago and no beard.
Well,
so, yeah, that's
all right.
what happens.
Yep, I agree. All right, Josh. Well, we appreciate everything that you do for TeamJoey and the Heroes Foundation. The volunteer work that you do, as well as just the time, the effort, the energy, as well as just being outspoken about the organization. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's an absolute honor and pleasure to be able to be a part of it. I think I'm on tap to potentially be Rudolph in December.
Nice.
So looking forward to that. But I told Kelly anytime that she needs me to dress up or do anything at all to reach out and let me know, because all hands on deck. I'm willing to help out.
Cool.
So
Awesome.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Hey, Salesforce, kudos to you guys on that 1-1-1 model. That's awesome. And don't forget, whoever is involved in the decision making there, he's your man for the Volunteer Achievement Award for sure.
Yes.
No, hands down or whatever.
Yeah.
Make it happen. So anyway, Josh, thank you for joining us on the Summits Podcast. We appreciate it. And thank all of you guys for joining us on this episode of the Summits Podcast. From wherever you get your podcasts, or if you're joining us on the Heroes Foundation YouTube channel, thank you for doing so. Thank you for tuning in. And don't forget, guys, beat cancer.